killing bugs. And I'm thinking, well, okay, so you're teasing us that you've got the two-handed maces, that you've got your great mauls and everything, but where are they at? Am I going to be able to make my legendary weird stone maul before or after the wipe? Because let me tell you, I'm holding on to all of the. I don't know what material it's going to be. If it's going to be lumidon or limestone or weird stone, but I definitely want to. Maybe it's going to be obsidian. Who knows? I want to make a giant two-handed thing that I can smash things with. I got plenty of nice materials hanging around. I just need them to put those weapons in, and those have not made it in the phase yet.
I wonder too how it's going to work. Let's say there's no wipe and node sieges come in, but also we're gonna want like larger area, and maybe we'll want to change node location, right? Like once we get more nodes, we might not, because we're basically like in static starting areas. And I think there's some strategy under which node you want to occupy and which nodes you want to grow. I just wonder how that's all going to work out and how people will feel about wipes and all that stuff when you're going to want to be changing nodes at some point, probably anyway. I think that's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, because there's a lot of the systems that are going to be coming up soon that they've talked about, but there's still a lot of systems that were intended for this phase and content for this phase that are just not really there yet, and they're still a ways out. So it sounds like they intend to complete Sand Squall Desert and then do anything with the tropics. Right now, tropics is kind of as it has been the whole time, and it's a bit of a mess. I don't know what they're going to be doing, if they're going to surprise us this coming live stream with a little demonstration of the tropics. I know they've talked about the naval testing coming up on PTR, so that makes me wonder, where is that going to occur? Is that going to happen in the Bay? Are we finally going to start having access to Turquoise Sea? Are we just going to be teleported to a dev-prepared location? I don't know. I'm interested to see it.
Yeah, and for me, one of the compelling aspects of the game design that I wanted to see, it's one of the things that got me really hyped to play this design, is node sieges changing the architecture style based on the race. And like, it seems like we're nowhere close to seeing that. I mean, okay, so we're going to get node sieges, but once we destroy a node, like, is that going to be ready to pop in? Even to have 2 or 3 different architecture styles? And there's something about that. And there's something new about that, isn't there? About how static that's going to be instead of dynamic?
Okay, so I don't think there's anything necessarily new. I think the interpretation might be a little bit interesting. So from what I understand, it's that the actual footprints and maybe how they're built up, what their shape and area is, will be unique to each location. And instead of there only being 2 possible types like there are right now, that each one would have its own type. That said, how dynamically they build up, that might be a little bit of a mix of things. The way that Stephen had kind of talked about it was like in increasing valence rings for how far out, or boxes, I suppose, because it's a square, for how far out the footprint occupies with buildings and features. So, your stuff that you build, your apprentice journeyman stuff, is going to be, initially towards the core and center of things. And then as you build out more, that's where you're going to have more journeyman, master level stuff, and other sorts of facilities and things like that that are required to support it, or whatever else. But so there's going to be some amount of how you actually build the structures in the different areas that's going to be different, and help define things a bit differently. But the part I don't know is the racial influence, how much they're still going to do that, if they're still going to do that. So Phantom, you're looking around and making some faces like you've got some notes on the subject. Do you have something a little bit more on the
Well,
details
no,
here?
the idea that it's not new. I mean, Stephen even presented it as new. Like he said, well, we had to change some things, and Peon even looked sort of a little let down. He even commented on it later, like, oh, like how you changed, the node dynamic, node layout. Stephen used a lot of fancy words. Essentially, it sounded like they just couldn't get it to work in UE5. And that makes me wonder a couple of things. One is how many tools they created for UE4 aren't going to get over to UE5. And, granted, this is just the layout, the visual layout of the node, as far as we know. But what other sort of procedural elements to the node are now going to also become more static? And that's sort of, who knows? I wish Peon had followed up with, oh, well, what else is, what other tools have changed switching to UE5? So that yeah. I think was a surprise. I mean, I don't know that people were, and you make a good point. Like, how does that affect the racial component? I don't know that we know. It sounds like they're just going to handcraft a bunch of different kinds, and presumably they'll handcraft a bunch of different racial ones, and then they'll just sort of, I guess, I don't know, randomly pick, or I don't know how that will work at this point, but it does sound like they'll still have that in. Who knows when, Diggs, because in order to have that happen, you also have to have node destruction working first, which we don't have
part
yet.
of my point. That's part of my point. Mm-hmm.
And the first iteration of node sieges that come in, the way that they're being demonstrated and the way they're being discussed on PTR and such, it sounds like it's going to be non-destructive, that you will be able to launch the attack. You'll have the little camps that you can use as the additional spawn points. You've got your default spawn point. They've got their default defender point. It's whoever signed up is the people who are there. Nobody else can enter. Nobody else can engage with it. 50v50. And it's nothing is actually being destroyed. The only things that get destroyed are the gates, so you can get in easier. That's it. All you're doing is busting the gates right now. None of the other destructive stuff. You don't attack walls, specific sections of walls that you can bust down other than the gates. There is no sense right now of a destructibility to any of the buildings. Nothing appears, as you look through it from a gameplay perspective, that like, oh yeah, that tower right there, that part of it would probably, break or get destroyed as part of the battle. I don't really get any inkling that the current place is set up to be destroyed other than the siege at the gates.
So is phase 3 still phase 3 if it doesn't have phase 3 stuff?
I mean, if we're going to talk about it that way, then phase 2 still wasn't phase 2 because we don't have item deconstruction. But I wouldn't necessarily say, or dynamic gridding. They're trying to achieve the objectives of the features, or objectives and features of those phases while they're in the phase. But as they've said, things may spill over. Rogue coming through later in phase 3, I could see that. All of the siege stuff coming in phase 3, I could see that. Story arcs for the Riverlands, there's been work done. I was told, check out stuff at Samia's. check out kind of the stuff with the Zephyr winds, check out the way that kind of funnels you towards Miraleth. If that's an interesting sort of way. One of my usual go-tos, what's his name? Scholar Rock here, Stronach, is now in Miraleth. He used to be on the bridge between Winstead and North Carfen. He starts you up on the Minotaur stuff. Talk about one quest line that's always ever worked. It's those damn Minotaurs. Never had a
Yeah.
problem with it except the extra eyes, but at least that's fixed now too.
So
Hey, there's a quest
maybe,
inventory, by the way, if anybody. It's been in for a few weeks now, but yeah, they've gotten it better. It's stacking properly. Quest inventory is not so bad right now.
so maybe we should just phase out phases.
They're for marketing.
Yeah.
It's plus or minus the difference of $10, and when they're going to have to potentially start paying a little bit more for the server costs for the amount of people that they're going to be working through, along with people coming back for the features that are going to be coming.
Yeah.
I mean, all the stuff that's coming soon, all of the crafting stuff that they've talked about that's going to be coming, and artisanship upgrades and changes and stuff, that's going to bring people back. Like just saying, hey, everybody, processing can now mix and match qualities. You don't have to just have, whatever quality slate mold made with the animal fat and everything else of the same quality. And so like that alone greatly, opens up and gets through a lot of hurdles. Being able to select the size of your stack instead of having to do, 1, 5, 10, 25, 100. It's awesome. That's great. That's the stuff that, that's gonna be bringing people back. The quality in how you find things is changing. It's not going to be things on 2 and 4 hour timers, every day. It's going to be completely different. The desert is a closer representation of it, where you'll go out, you'll see a little cluster of things. Something in that cluster might be a bit higher quality. They're talking about how the new survey tools, the new survey pylons, you'll be able to plop it down. It'll tell you which things in a grouping nearby are going to be the higher quality ones, so you can actually, use that. And instead of having to chase timers, now you're trying to find the different outcroppings that nobody's touched, go over and either mass gather it with your buddies or pop a thing down and hit the one specifically.
You really think that's going to bring people back?
I think all of those features combined with, rogues and sieges and, if they've got the entire desert in, and also if they do a wipe, people are going to be coming back because they want to see things fresh. I think a lot of things are going to bring people in. And then things that I don't know what they're actually going to start phase 3 with either, if it's just going to be wrap up with phase 2 or not.
I don't think phases matter anymore.
You're right.
We're so close to phase
once phase 3 starts, if they're not doing a wipe right at the start of phase 3 and they're not going to announce a wipe, then phase it can be phase 3 for as long as it needs to. It's just alpha 2 at that point. It's alpha 2 until it's not.
You look at, and last time we did a show, I pulled up the phase 2 stuff, what's in, what's not in.
And you were wrong. All of that stuff is in there. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a dude tell me that. He's live right now, actually. We maybe we'll get 75%. No, sorry, 25% in, 75% not in by May 1st, and the two big things being Node Siege and the Rogue, which supposedly are coming. We'll see.
Sometime before 2030.
I think the Rogue will be here on time. The Sieges, I don't know. I've heard people testing; they've kind of had mixed opinions about it. But you look at that. You look at the fact that we're going to cross into phase 3 with all of that stuff missing. But here they are adding in naval content. They're adding in new zones before they've done any of the phase 2 stuff. The harvesting and the crafting, which I think is totally planned to try and coincide with the rogue, and just to try to get some crafters and stuff up.
Well, Sense Desert Expanded is definitely part of the phase.
Yeah, but we went over it. There's been nothing added since we went over it 3 weeks ago. And what did Stephen? The other thing that Stephen mentioned on the Peon interview is he says, so March is Turquoise Sea, which was not part of the phase 2, which, by the way, we're about out of March. April was the June Dark. May, the Anvils. There's just all these other little things starting to pop in before like the majority of phase 2 is even done. And Stephen made the comment that he says by halfway through the year, so that's July 2nd, that they will have the entire, I guess, Western continent completed from a layout, sort of topological layout, foliage and harvestable perspective, like nothing else. But to go from, I don't know, I'm just thoroughly confused by whatever is happening in a production line here and how we're getting all these things, compared to what seemed to be a very well thought out and very well approached phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 pretty much nailed it, except for item deconstruction and dynamic gridding. Get to phase 2. I don't think dynamic gridding is going to come, but anyways, phase 2, all of a sudden it's like stuff just went sideways. Like that's actually why I named it phasing out, because it's like I don't think the phases matter anymore. So much of phase 2 is not going to be in by phase 3, but we're going to have parts of phase 3 in during phase 2. I agree with you. It's marketing.
Well, and it's also just a general guideline of how they hope to do things. But once things get delayed, and things are always going to be delayed, the teams that there are going to be different teams that keep going, and they'll get stuff done and it's ready to go in. So they're going to put it in. They aren't going to say, well, we finished this stuff, but we have to wait until we get to the phase 2 stuff before we put in the stuff that's already ready. It's just because there's different teams working on stuff, and sometimes teams get delayed. And, it is a very ambitious design. So, things like dynamic node generation might not get in, or it might take longer, or all that stuff. So
are you going to be happy if we get to July and you have the rogue, you have naval content, and then you have a barren continent to explore?
Well, so the interesting thing to me about mentioning rogue is that I'm actually kind of, instead of being excited about rogue, I'm really excited about all the variations of rogue, the secondary archetype versions of a rogue. And that makes me wonder again, without a wipe, once that comes in at some point, you might figure out that instead of wanting to have rogue as your primary archetype, you want to have what you thought would be your secondary archetype. You might decide you want that to be your primary archetype. And there's not really any way to figure that out until we get those combos in. I don't know when that's supposed to happen, but
even up front, it's only going to be tank and cleric for the secondary archetypes. And even then, they haven't told us how far. Is it going to be a level cap of 35? Is it going to be 40? Are we going all the way to 50? What's the sort of thing going to be when they actually do increase things and give the opportunity? They can't keep it at level 25 because we're not going to have any secondary archetype points to spend. That'd be like, what's the point?
Yeah.
I think they need the augment system in general to be working before secondary archetypes can really come in, because it sounds like by and large the secondary archetype system is kind of a set of augments that you can toggle and enable. So it makes sense then that if they don't have any of the other secondary or any of the augment features up and running,
Well, wait,
there's not even a
So
point.
yeah, if they don't have, so what I'm getting, or what you triggered for me saying that, is that really they should start with other types of augments, like racial augments, which you get without having to increase your class level or your primary archetype level. So you should be able to get racial augments, I don't know, from level 10 to level 25. I don't think all augments start at level 25. I'm not sure. But you're not getting those from, I don't think. I don't think you're getting that from increasing your character level. But we should see. I think they should start maybe with some other categories of augments besides just secondary archetype augments. But we shall have to see. We shall have to see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when they do come around. Let's see. Yeah, it was March 13th when they posted the gatherable spawning system is evolving. I'm gonna post the link here if anybody wants to check it out in the chat, and of course you can just look it up. It's in their recent news at the current moment.
Those are good
Go ahead.
changes. Yeah, I mean those are much needed changes. The fact that it's taken this long to let you craft in batches other than 1, 5, 10, 25, 50, and 100. I mean, that's kind of sad, honestly, that it's taken that long. That's probably been the most frustrating part, is when you have, let's do the math. You have nine items that you want to process. You can do 5, and you have to do 5 and then 4 ones. And it just gets worse from there.
What I really like though is that it's actually been done, because when I had previously asked in the past about this to somebody in the know, the answer was, I don't actually think we can do that. So the fact that it's actually here is great. I had even suggested on a previous episode that just let me put in the stack size and the amount of fuel, but if I don't have 100, if I've got 97, let me just run it and pay the fee of 100 and pay the fuel of 100 and, just run it that way. But the fact that you're actually going to be able to run the amount that you want, that's going to be interesting. I actually wonder how that's going to work with rarity and quality sort of stuff and quantity.
They actually said they didn't think they could do that. Like, how is it coded that you couldn't just change a number?
Well,
this is what Steven talks about all the time. Well, the numbers we can change very easy with. I mean, that's always in the context.
I think it might have just been that the way it had been coded, because I actually don't know who all is involved. If it's UI and the econ team and the tech team and the server team, if like all of them have to work together and things are like a little fragile, and that's why there were certain limitations or whatever at first, that they had to maybe keep it limited to an enum or something, just so that way it can only be these certain things so we don't break it. But now they've actually recoded that sort of stuff as a major pass that was required as part of the whole crafting system update, and in doing so now they've got it working.
I mean, well, yeah, at least it's in. That's been one of the most annoying parts of this. The idea of mix matching quality also will be interesting to see. All I primarily have been doing is map making and stuff, but definitely changing the spawning of materials is going to be a big plus. You'll still, I guess, know the general areas, but I mean, because they can't make it completely random, because otherwise, how do you fight over resources if you don't have some sort of knowledge, the general area in which they're going to be? I mean, all plus, very plus changes.
It might just be that if you're going to the places, and that was another thing, and it's very important to keep this one in mind. They're talking about where where the things are going to spawn, and they talked about this, I believe, on the last live stream, is actually going to be places where the things should be looked for. So you're not just running everywhere trying to find, oh, well, maybe I'll find rubies and maybe I'll find copper and maybe I'll find this and maybe I'll find that. No, it'll be, okay, if we're looking to get copper, we've got to take this cave over for a little bit. Or if not this cave, that cave, or some other cave. But copper spawns in caves. Let's kind of lock down a cave and put our boots in the ground. Be like, hey, this cave is ours, buddy.
I'm
And
just
And that's how you're going to get your copper.
some things should be biome specific as well. Like you should
Oh,
only be
I would
finding.
imagine. I would
certain
hope
types of wood.
Rubidium only ever appears in the Aelin Riverlands because it seems like that's its namesake. Like that one, and likewise Halcyonite, because that's where Halcyon is. That also seems like maybe a Riverland specific material. Maybe one or two of the trees could be Riverland specific. I could see that. So that's I would definitely hope to see some of that sort of stuff too.
Yeah.
In terms of other places, maybe instead of weeping willows, they've got, eucalyptus as their shaggy trees. Different desert and sandy biomes are going to have different types of, palm trees and stuff. You'd have like, more of coast live oaks or whatever for a beach, and the smaller
then
beachy sort of palms and stuff.
And then you'll have to send out surveyors to survey to see what's there, right?
Well, you don't necessarily have to survey. It's that you can use the survey tool to discern in a pack, in a large like outcropping or pack of materials, which ones are going to be the higher quality ones. So that way you can have your juiced out crafters be the ones, or gatherers be the ones that hit those.
But at some point, it's going to be checking to see what's depleted, right?
Yes, and that's going to be something with a big old question mark. How much land management stuff there's actually going to be, how much resource depletion there's actually going to be, to me is like so far out. I don't even think it's going to be an alpha feature. I don't think we're going to see that until beta, until there's a large enough area to actually even test a system like that.
Okay.
Right now, like, if there was any inkling of depletion, this game would have been like Ultima Online when it launched, and nobody would have been playing the whole time because there would have been nothing for anybody. We would have stripped the whole place barren. There'd be no life anywhere. We'd just be like, all right, like at this point, we've all got to group up just to kill something that anybody can, even get anything off of, because we wiped the rest of the place clean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, we're a ways out from that sort of thing. And actually, that is one of the things I like with the surveying, is the idea that when there is a sort of a land management, you can target the higher quality ones and leave the rest. And likewise, that will hopefully also start leaning into the adolescent trees not giving as higher quality of resources. So you actually want to wait for the trees to grow up and be adult size before you even bother chopping them to begin with. And so there's other like land management features that are just kind of built in. So that way, when Phantom X comes through with a flamethrower, he's like, I'll burn your forest down. Because we know that's what you're going to do. You've already told us that's what you're going to do.
Well, I'll chop it down. I don't think I can burn it down.
Phantom.
You wish
Phantom
you had a
X?
flamethrower.
Phantom X or Phantom Ass?
Phantom X is going to go through and cut down all the trees, and he's going to hunt all your huntables and mine all your minerals, and then you're going to be like, man, the land's really barren. What happened?
I want to know who that was. So I did start over, I guess, on the EU server, which has been a good server actually. It's been pretty tame. Chat is normal. This is Vira. global chat. You know, the server prices are super good, actually. You know, so it's been a lot of fun. Did that actually trigger? I don't know if the no thing triggered or not, but yeah, I was streaming last week and Sunday wrapping up and ran by a character that was Phantom, spelled appropriately, Phantom, Phantom Ass. So I have to assume that's related to me. I want to know who did it just because it's clever. I'm not mad. That's just very clever. So I wish I knew who it was.
I mean, that could just be the name they roll with. Like that's who they've been on, like Counter-Strike and other games. Like, oh man, I just got killed by Phantom Ass. Damn it.
Certainly possible. Seemed very sus though. Like it was, you know, and I just happened to run by them. I don't know. It was seemed interesting. It was like a level 7 character though. So I mean, they had put some time into it. So who knows? Last thing I'll say though, with regards to the harvesting processing stuff, I mean, this is one of those things though that also again came out of the blue. Like, why the decision to sort of throw this in there? I know it's been they commented on the crafters and the artisanship people wanting it, but I mean, we've been wanting this since phase 1. Like, why all of a sudden was you know, and what resources went where? Like, what did they have to pull away from in order to put this out before there's all these other systems even in? I don't know.
Well,
there's just a lot of curiosities in my brain.
This is them. They're maybe about a month or so late to it, but this is them being effectively on target from. Remember when Steven was on in September, and when I asked him when the whole of the crafting system and artisanship would be up and running, and he said, if I remember, he had said close to the end of February. So, you know, that's why I'm saying maybe about a month late on it, and we're getting a little closer on these things now. They're going to start launching here in the next few weeks. They gave us the dates here. So
they gave dates.
They're going to be rolling out the features on April 10th, April 24th, and May 8th. And that's the thing that I think has thrown people off the most is like, wait, April 10th, April 24th, and then May 1st is when phase 3 is supposed to start. And then immediately after phase 3 starts, May 8th update comes around. And then everybody also who believes in the wipe is like, well, wait, when's the wipe going to happen? Is it going to be before or after the full artisan stuff comes around? Is it going to be required? Like, is the wipe coming with the last patch? Because it has to happen like that.
You have to assume that phase 3 is starting May 8th. It's not smart starting May 9th or May 1st. Because it's going, because build update 0.9 is April 24th. Mm-hmm. This is using their own stuff here. So that's build 0.9, and then build 0.10 is May 8th. So there's no, unless there's like a 0.85, 0.95. Wait, what the hell?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 0.095 build that comes in between.
Wait, that's wrong, isn't it? You don't go 0.9 to 0.1.
Yes, you go 0.9 to 0.10. It's 10. Because when it's version numbering, it's more like an IP address.
Oh yeah, I left out the 0. But anyways, unless there's a middle.
Yeah, I know you did.
Unless there's a middle, like that I think that's them telling us there's phase 3 is starting that on. That's the only thing that makes sense there.
Yeah. And so that's I think one of the ones that's been so interesting is now it throws into question all of the dates of like when is phase 3 really starting. And
I mean that's a question in any case.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't start on May 8th, then like what is it going to be? One week of messing around with the system before it's fully completed.
Yeah.
Seems a little interesting.
I mean, they announced naval. They didn't say it. They're just. It seems to be like by the seat of their pants. Like they put a tweet out, next live stream, and it's an emoji that suggests naval. They didn't use the word. I think there's a reason they didn't use the word, so they can always say, "Oh no, we never said naval," because they're not testing it until this week, and the same week of this live stream. And what happens when they test stuff? The first time they put stuff out, what happens? Most of the time,
usually it breaks
Stuff
and
breaks.
has some issues, and it's not ready to release.
stuff breaks. No, that's normal.
The
Stuff
thing
breaks.
I'm so curious, I'm still curious of where is it going to happen? Is it going to be the bay between Sunhaven, Starting Zone, and New Ayla? Is it going to be Vandegar Tropics? Is that going to be now suddenly and quietly expanded for all of this, and we're going to start seeing some nodes up there that allow for some naval stuff? Is this going to be the Turquoise Sea going out past the San Squal Peninsula? Yeah, apparently it's a peninsula. It's a desert peninsula. Go figure.
There you go. Greenfinger's commenting, tropics. That might be what.
Tropics? Okay. Sweet.
But they definitely need to bring people back. I mean, I think that's the big reason they've done the harvesting and the artisanship stuff. So in the order they have. I know what you said. Steven said, February or whatever. It was not in phase 2. The roadmap was not listed. But I think they're having such a hard. I'm starting to second guess their use of the PTR as well. I mean, that was something we talked about when they first announced it. It's like in my head, like Alpha 2 is a PTR. Like, what do you mean you're going to have a PTR along with Alpha? Alpha is the place where you stage new things and new systems, and you test them and they break, and you do it over again. And it seems so odd. Initially, though, I was like, okay, this is working. PTR seems to make sense. They have a production server. They got this server over here. And okay, starting to make sense. But now, when they finally get to such a big thing like node sieges, I think this last one might have been the first time they got anywhere near 100 versus 100. Like, they just don't have people on the PTR. I mean, people are already burned out from production. So then asking them to also go to PTR. So I think that's a big part too of why they've added in this whole harvesting change, is to try to get some of those folks back. Because I think it's your same core small group of people that are just doing the same stuff every day. I don't know what data is like anymore. At this point, I don't know what they're getting beneficial from a data perspective anymore.
I don't know if I had mentioned this or if it even happened before, by the last episode, but I finally got resolution on, and finally, props to the team. We don't see the delete my cargo stuff anymore. So Lionhold and Samia's Hope, if you clicked the cargo storage there by accident, it would delete whatever node storage you had cargo stashed at. And they weren't able to recover it, but they were very kind about it. And I was offered an opportunity to join PTR, but then they realized, oh, but you're already on PTR. And this was in the email that they sent. They didn't send a follow-up or anything. It was like, so since you are, we're going to offer you the ability to kind of get one of your friends in. And so, I picked somebody who was definitely an economic titan and very active player, and got him in. So
they're
getting the feeling they're starting to have the people who have actually reported things and actually had issues, that they're starting to get those people in. I have no idea, because they haven't announced anything like that. I just know from my own personal experience.
Stephen did say they're opening up PTR to more people. I think that was during the Peon interview as well. So I mean, they've said.
I know he did say that. I just wasn't sure what the actual pathway was. So that might be one of them. Is anybody who's put in major bug reports and stuff? Maybe they follow up with them. It's like, well, sorry, we couldn't help you, but let's get you on PTR, friendo.
Anyways, that's just the PTR stuff is. I mean, it is what it is. From what I heard, it's by order date of the packages. That's so if you order, the first people to purchase are getting into PTR first. Not sure where I heard that. I think Jamie. I don't know where he heard it. So, but yeah. So we have a live stream coming up. How do you think the live streams have been? So, I've commented. I don't think I've made it through a full live stream now in probably 3 or 4.
I like a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the things that are discussed, especially the last one. There was a lot of really good stuff that was kind of talked about and revealed to us that we're now starting to see a little bit, like, again, with the artisan post that they put up and the dates and all of that. That's it's nice, but I don't feel like it's maybe as focused in some ways as the previous format used to be. And I don't know if it's that they like this format better, if this format's easier, if it's just logistically easier to do this way now that all parties involved aren't in the same office at the same time. So there's like some logistics that's easier to work out by just doing it this way. I don't know. I'm okay with the format, with how much information we get from all the conversations and seeing some stuff revealed, and sometimes players will get like hooked up or murdered horribly or whatever, and we all laugh and see some wacky stuff flying around.
I'm with Jamie on this. I'm tired of seeing stuff that I can go in and do myself. Like
I see what you mean.
The fun part, I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the time they put into it too, but it's all stuff that's in, like, I can go do that myself versus everything up to, it was, we're going to show you a vertical slice here, a vertical slice there. I don't know if part of this is tied into that whole thing that happened with he who we will not name. And it's fake. And so now they don't do that anymore. They're just showing active gameplay parts. That certainly doesn't sort of reassure me, at least, that they have these other systems out there to show us. But I feel like their streams have just been less and less effective, less fun, less bringing in new people. And I think overall viewership, because this is the other thing with just eyes on the project, I don't know why they don't let us stream the PTR. Because right now you look at Twitch numbers and stuff. You also don't have Thor streaming it anymore. I don't know I feel like all around sort of viewership has just sort of declined quite a bit. And I think a big part of it, those shows, I don't know. It is a lot of work. I can tell you when we did, PI Node Wars, which I can talk about, that was a time sink. I mean, that was a good 6 hours of their day, probably getting that set up.
So about that, would it be more, I mean, how would you compare that idea with streaming the A2 server, not the PTR, but having 5 days plus to stream just the regular server instead of the PTR? So are you saying that there would be higher viewership if we were seeing PTR content? Yeah. Or are you saying there would be more people would watch if we were had more days to stream the regular server?
No, I think it's just the PTR content itself. One, I mean, your regular streamers aren't doing it right now. Like, it's been a while. Like, I mean, you can still catch Jamie every once in a while, but he's usually doing other games. Q, I guess, is still putting out YouTube at least. Nice. He'll stream some. Vladis is also there, although Vladis does a lot more talking like we're doing now. But a lot of your sort of consistent Richie and Rive, all these, they're just, and I think it's a combination of burnout and just a lot of stuff. But one, if you could stream the PTR, you get your content creators back because that's new, interesting stuff. But imagine, I have to imagine when we first had Rogue hit the PTR, if you could stream that, you would have had people really interested watching. Like it's your first time seeing the Rogue. You know, you would have probably had pretty good viewers just checking it. Same with naval content. You know, if we could stream that this week, I think you have a lot more. You know, a lot of people are interested in that, but we can't stream it. And where I get confused that I don't understand, it's a visual NDA, so we can talk about it all we want. But what is it visually that they're worried about showing? PTR doesn't look very different from production to me. I'm sorry, I can run around on production and cross a server worker boundary, and all of a sudden my character is riding the horse like a surfboard. So
I think they don't want to show anything that's new and decidedly broken.
But there are already so many broken things already.
But those things are already broken. We can already show those things.
So then
they don't want to add. They don't want to add more fuel to the fire. Oh, this game is broken. Look, you can't even get
that's going to be there no matter what.
Blah, blah, blah.
That's going to be there no matter what. I think I don't understand. I just don't get it. It's. I think you would have continued to have quite a lot more interest in viewers if people could see these little glimpses here there. Because where is it not happening? It's not been really happening in the live streams. So, you know, they're not live. You know, we are supposedly getting some of it this month, but you know, we're not getting those vertical slices anymore for live streams. So. I don't know. I just don't see the negative because there's already so much that needs work on production. You know, so what if a boat flies up in the air during naval combat? That was happening anyways during caravans that would end up in the air, in the sky.
Oh yeah, so, I think we can still make that one happen.
I just
where
don't
you
get
them on top of each other, and then you do the back and forth friction thing till you fly in the air. You might still be able to do that. I haven't tried it. I don't want to sink someone's caravan or lose mine.
But I hope that they start going backwards a little bit in their live streams to how they used to do things. That seems to be partly the idea here, right? Because we technically don't have the Rogue in production. They're supposedly going to show that. A new area, which I assume is the sea, and then the naval content, which isn't in PTR anyways. But so they seem to be getting back to showing us some stuff that is not currently playable in the production servers. But I don't know. I could go on and on about that.
Mm-hmm.
What is this about? How many players do you think we're getting in phase 3? I don't know. Steven has said already 130K has been in, right? I mean, that's what he said. And I don't think he was saying for phase 3. I think he said 130K already. I'm pretty sure that's what he said to Peon. Because in the same vein, he talked about getting to a 6K server concurrency early on, which they were proud of, which is a good thing. I mean, Unreal, I don't know that there's any other games Unreal does 6K concurrencies. So.
Concurrencies in an actual open world, not just, oh yeah, we're all in the same 100 people hubs or whatever and deploy out with 4 people at a time. Yeah, none of that crap. Actual MMO.
I'm almost positive. I wish I can't pull it up. I'll have to look. I'm almost certain he said already 130K. He made it sound like not that they were waiting for phase 3, but maybe I'm.
Honestly, there have been,
not my notes.
You haven't been looking, but there's just been an onslaught of new players recently. It's been odd, like so many people just new to the game that have been joining the game, joining a server. And I know Genesis has been doing a lot to try to pick up and grab as many people and get them in the the Noobs Guild or whatever, and get them leveled up and get them in one of the other guilds, one of the other branches or whatever, because they're still so tiny. But it's Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing because I would have thought that this would be the point when things were petering out, that we wouldn't be seeing new players, and yet here we are with people that are like, low level, first time gearing up, first time leveling, first time doing the artisanry. It's like, you're a genuine new player, aren't you? And then more of them than I would have expected. So and there's even more of them that I'll see here and there all the time.
Yeah, but it's
So
it's persistency.
it's a nice sort of thing to see that even though a lot of players have dropped off, there are a lot of new players coming. One of them, I think it's my favorite story, and I feel so bad for the guy, but also, you didn't actually miss anything. They backed it at a pretty decent level, and they totally forgot about the game until like a month or so ago, and go, oh shit, all right, I'm gonna install this and start playing and see what I'm missing. And he's been playing since. So uh, yeah, so there's still people coming in. It's not a lot of, I know, yes, there's a lot of people that have been dropping off and things have been seeming stagnant on different servers in different ways to different people, but there's still plenty to do. There's still, you'll always be able to find a war. You'll always be able to find caravans to pop. You'll always be able to go and run your own caravans and try to get some heat.
There's definitely a core group. I'm not trying to act like there's like 10 people playing. I mean, I could log on right now to Lotharia, and what time is it on EU? I mean, it's 3 in the morning there, and it's, well, between 3 and 4 or 5 in the morning there. And there'll be players on. Like, so I'm not trying to act like that, but it's and maybe they don't want growth right now. I mean, that also could be part of it. Like, maybe they don't want to show PTR because
they said retention isn't the goal right now. I mean, it is and it isn't.
Maybe they don't care that every day there's 150 people watching on Twitch, maybe at the most, and that's it. That very well could be. I
think there's
your content
for people
creators
to come back for,
your content creators would absolutely love to be able to stream the PTR, and I just don't see good reasons why we can't. But anyways, other thing that sort of came up that I put in our Discord, we didn't really chat about much, was I think it was 13 people were let go at the end of February.
Yeah. So obviously, this is something it had been talked about in IGDA Discord. This the International Game Developers Association. That it was discussed about people who have been let go, and it wasn't a layoff because they were not let go due to economic reasons. Instead, that California is an at-will state. Here's the thing.
That's just trying to get around being able to say that.
If they were laid off or
were they fired?
If they were hired, that the quality of the work over the time they've been there has been under the quality, and it's been causing more trouble or something, and they've identified folks that like they just don't get it. They just can't break out of their old like WoW, EQ, Guild Wars, whatever MMO they worked on, habits, and whatever, maybe they just didn't have the technical chops they needed to be the kind of engineer they needed, whatever it might be. They might have actually let these people go as poor fits who they've identified and decided were people they wanted to get legitimately better fits for. It's not like they aren't hiring right now, and I don't think they're hiring for the people they just let go.
That was the confusing part, is that they have all these jobs posted. I agree. I would assume, now from what we know, which was an article, we don't have direct knowledge, was that nobody was actually told why. I would have to assume that it is, probably productivity related, that there's just some sort of expectation. And I don't know. I don't want that to sound like Steven's, there with a whip, chains, like snapping and dragging people around. I think we know people that work there, and they are happy. So that's not what I'm trying to say. But I do wonder if it is a productivity issue. That's sort of.
Well, here's the other thing that I absolutely hate it, but I understand and I sympathize. I still hate it though, that for legal reasons, HR never likes to state why they've let someone go if they don't have to, because when you state a reason, you open yourself up to the liability of them countering that and saying, no, actually, and getting a lawyer versus we're letting you go. Why? California's an at-will state. We're letting you go. We'll give you a good recommendation at the next place.
They were still
See
laid
you
off.
later, pal.
They were still
Whatever.
they were still laid off. They were still fired.
Whatever it may be. They were their contracts of employment were terminated from the company. That's the part we know.
Bantam, what is the difference between being let go and being laid off for you? Is there a difference? Okay.
The company made a decision to let someone no longer work for them. It was not the person's decision. It was the company's decision.
Yeah. So to you, it's the same thing. They're synonymous. Okay.
And I get it. Like, they have been a haven. We've had a lot of game companies that have fired large swaths of people over the last 8 years that we've been following this game, and they've taken in a lot of them. And so I get that there's also sort of a PR reason to say, no, we're not laying off people, because that's, they've done really well in bringing in people that have been laid off. So they obviously don't want to look like they're, firing people, because then that also starts to raise questions of like, all right, what's going on in the studio? But they still let people go. It is what it is. So
yeah. So
that made me smile though.
I have no idea. I mean, I think of other sorts of things like, you hire an opera singer who can do, double soprano, and you don't have anything where they have to hit that until like right towards the end. And you've been rehearsing like all of the earlier parts. And when you finally get to the later part, you finally realize this person actually can't hit the double soprano range. It's like, well, damn, we got to get a new opera singer. You're out. I have no idea what the roles were. I haven't looked into it too thoroughly, and it's not to be like a bury my head in the sand, like, oh, if I don't look at it, I don't have to worry about it because it didn't happen. I don't know, because it did happen, and I don't know the people. I don't think I know the people. The people I know who are there, I think, are still there. So
presumably there's an NDA anyways, so we'll never know.
Never know until you see who changes their LinkedIn's, but I'm not going to LinkedIn scum every single member of Intrepid. not what I wake up to do every day. No.
I have one last thing that I wanted to bring up.
And I do hope all those folks find, a good fit somewhere that, they'll be able to stay at for a while, because that it definitely sucks.
I'm curious, and I want to just talk about this, I guess, maybe briefly. I don't know. And this was chatted about somewhere else amongst some content creators. And do you get the sense at all that things seem like over the last month or two to start feeling more rushed? That there's things have been sort of haphazardly. And when I say rush, I do mean that in a negative way, like that. There's now a clock, financial drain, or whatever. Do you feel like that? Because things have just seemed very. What's Crimcheck? Holy shit!
Yeah, he also plays on Vira.
Oh yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's been a discussion, just because there's been so many little things here and there. The live streams changing, phase 2 not really being a thing anymore, stuff being put out earlier than expected, and this whole idea of all whole continent being done physically by the halfway point, and Steven was going to start streaming. Then he stopped like after 2 or 3. And do you think there's any validity to that? Do you not think? Do you think this is just game development, that it's normal to throw out 3/4 of a planned phase and have a bunch of other stuff come on online instead? I don't know. What do you think?
I think they've been rushing since 2023.
I mean,
I think they've been rushing to get. You have more insight than me because you were in Phoenix Initiative, and I think they've been rushing to get this stuff in since 2023. Especially, they went just balls to the walls from June until it seemed like their December break. Like they were just busy, 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 busy. Like just all hours, you'd be finding them. It seemed like Vacnar, Roshan, and Nyx had like shifts they were doing. I think Nyx was literally on the night shift, which is name appropriate. But yeah, that's yeah, I did shave recently. Because there was so much going on and there were so many people, up and running with things. And then after December, it seemed like things slowed down for a couple of weeks. And then a certain someone with the stinky shorts went and made a big stink about something. And all of a sudden, the rush was back on to start hammering things in. Meanwhile, the better state of things, January, it seemed like there was a lot of work that was already going on. That was already the planned stuff and that they were already cramming in. Meanwhile, it seemed like there was a lot of stuff going on production wise, that there was a lot of meetings that I got the feeling that all of the leads and all of the seniors and all of the producers and marketing and everybody was having like a big conference for about a month trying to hash everything out, and then for about the next month after, getting all of these plans into action. So that must have also been kind of an odd sort of thing. Come back, kind of get back to what you were working on, except now it's the desert. And then, everybody's also in the process of trying to figure out what's going on, what's happening next, where the battle plans are going, where we're hoping to do what the plan's looking like. That's they've always they haven't stopped rushing other than those 2 weeks they took off, and then like a little bit of time before the desert thing.
Check. I'm not it's not that I'm not loving Ashes. I mean, obviously I want this to succeed. I have a lot of money in this. We have 8 years in this. I think for me, it started with sort of a boredom of the game, not seeing a lot being put in, and I'm sort of reaching a point where it's really hard for me to, the fallback used to always be when I'm streaming as well. It's alpha. It's an alpha. It's an alpha. That was always the fallback, right? That's not here because it's an alpha. It's broken this way because it's an alpha. And I'm starting to reach a point where that's kind of hard to continuously use as a reason when things aren't being added in. And
well, so let's
let me finish real quick.
All I was going to say is that I think what you mean is not only just is it alpha, but it's alpha phase 1, alpha phase 2, and the stuff in phase 2 is not coming in. So it's not just alpha, but specifically, I think that the stuff they said is supposed to be in phase 2 is not in phase 2, and doesn't seem like it's coming to phase 2 before phase 3, and even by phase 3 some of the stuff is not going to be in by phase 3. I think that's
correct. Streaming in phase 1. Why is this not it? Well, because that's in phase 2. That's in phase 2. Phase 3 is when everything else happened. We got a month left in phase 2 and we're like down 80% stuff. Like, can't. And then I even start like getting frustrated having to say it's an alpha. And things have felt just more disorganized. I don't know what just not just well, kind of like it's just not
I think
been.
okay, so I just want to check in again because by disorganized, I think part of you talked about that a little earlier. I think is that some of the stuff is not coming in, but then other stuff that wasn't on the
Yeah,
roadmap
all of a sudden
is
there's no
coming in.
plan. There's no like roadmap. We're just doing this. We're doing that. We're going to announce it
Yeah.
here. We're going to do this. Now I think they're supposed to give us. I don't know if it's this stream or April stream, like a new. This is where we're going to. This is our timeline. Um, I was surprised they gave us the dates for the crafting stuff. Like, when he starts talking about March and April and how this is, turquoise sea is going to be in March, and I don't know. It's this. I also am aware that I could just be, that pendulum swings. You put in 8 years in this, you're going to have times where you're feeling up on the game, and you're going to have times where you're feeling down on the game. And I'm trying not to get too negative, but it's just been it's been a minute since there's been anything fun or new to kind of do. And
But I also think that there's not a lot of the content that we were hyped about. It's like it's like an adequate MMO, right? And the stuff that we were hyped for isn't really in. So it's like, yeah, I mean, you can get in and play, and it's like an MMO, like so yeah, but that's not why we were hyped to play Ashes. That's not the part that And even if we're talking about the live streams, it's because they're talking about this feature, they're talking about this feature, and this is going to be in, but it's not actually in. So it's hard to stay hyped about that.
I mean, I've always commented I back because of nodes. Nodes is why I was interested in this game, and to see really nothing. We don't have it other than what's there. We've not seen anything else node wise, and not only did not see things like destruction and the stage 4 of nodes, which we're also supposed to have in right now. Not only are we not seeing those things, well, now Stephen mentions, the layouts are no longer procedural. Like, we're starting to make things more static. And, nodes are why I back this thing. So that's why it's starting to wear on me a little bit. Now, I took 4 weeks off. I took Stephen's advice, and I said, I'm going to take a break. Stephen, I think it's good advice. So I took a break. Tried coming back. I've had a better experience on Lotharia, and so I'll probably keep up with it, but it's still pretty quickly like, all right, yes, great server, better people, better environment, same stuff. So has it been a slow year for AOC or something? No, I wouldn't say it's slow. It's just been, I don't even know how to put it into words. I wouldn't say it's been slow because they've been pushing out patches and they've been updating stuff, fixing stuff constantly. I track all this. I poke around in files, probably shouldn't, but I do. And I have an easy dozen different variations of the game sort of over, and that's just in the last month or two.
Okay, but some of that is kind of related to why I find having these 24/7 and especially when you have PTR and the regular one, it's basically we've got the devs working 24/7 to maintain gameplay. So we're making it so that the content that is there is working pretty good, but that's likely to cause a delay in the stuff that isn't in and we want in.
And I think part of it for me too, I don't mind PvP. I won't shy away from PvP. But I think the people that are actually having a good experience still are the ones that love the daily caravan runs, love the daily guild war or war declarations. Like that's happening all the time. And I think the people that's made for are having fun with it because the combat is good. In general, the PvP.
Well, and sure, and the PvP that I was hyped for at Kickstarter is what I call meaningful content, which is now turned into risk versus reward, different focus to me. But the meaningful content that I wanted was um, dynamically changing nodes and having uh, node sieges because you want changes to the nodes, and those are going to be significant changes to the nodes. That's the kind of meaningful PvP that I was interested in, that you know we aren't close to seeing.
Yeah.
Even that for castle sieges, some of the stuff we talked about today, like the for castle sieges, they're supposed to have the three military nodes that are attached to that, so that you're having a little bit of that once each week. You know, all that stuff that I think we were hyped about for Kickstarter isn't really in the game yet.
One thing that's funny to see though is you can do things in a PvP context that are condoned and using the game systems that have a huge impact. So a couple of nights ago, I'll have to ask somebody where the videos are, who recorded, but Genesis and Zhu Feng, it's one of the Chinese guilds, very big. Uh, Maybe has some RM tiers, has some people who aren't. Very econ focused. They were rolling out a bunch of caravans. All their caravans got busted. Wars broke out. There was fighting back and forth. They kind of got their asses handed to them. And then immediately afterwards, one of the carpenters pops into the voice comms and says, "Yo, what the hell is going on? Did something happen? I just made like a whole shit ton of money in caravan part sales." And it's like, yeah, we just wiped Jufang's caravans. Like, oh shit, I just made 90 gold.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, that aspect, and the people that love that are having a blast. I mean, I still get all the pings from Genesis. I mean, all of the, they war decked on us. We're going to war deck on them. Put your stuff,
Literally, as the show was starting, like Marileth and Winstead, I think, just went to war.
That aspect of the game is in a good spot for the people that like it. It really is. And I want to real quickly before I forget, the comment in the box about game development and some stuff being ready before others and stuff like that. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. That 100% makes sense. I guess where I'm taking that though is the fact that we have such a large percentage of phase 2 not in, and we're starting to get some things here and there from phase 3. Like that's where I sort of start going, huh? Because it's not like we have 75% of phase 2 in, and we're starting to get a little bit here and there phase 3. That would be great, because that would be like, hey, we're getting stuff early. But it's like the reverse.
But that's just the way that's normal game development.
It's just there's so much though. That's what, maybe they were just way off on the roadmaps when they made them. I don't know.
Of course, when you're out, again, that's a game development thing. That's why it's not a promise that these things are going to be in. It's what you think at the time. That's why they don't like giving roadmaps, because things are subject to change, and people who are not in game development don't quite get that. But
I dislike that too. So that was another comment I had wrote down from this Peon interview that kind of got under my skin a little bit, that I'm tired of hearing. And I don't remember what sparked the conversation, but it was sort of a brief banter between Steven and Lazy Peon about how players just don't understand. They're dumb. They don't know how game development works, and they just don't get it.
Wait. You can't say that's not the same thing. Ignorant might be a word that's true, but that just means that they don't know how game development works. That's not the same thing as being dumb.
I mean, you got people this game been around 8 years. Like, I think this isn't, you have people following this for 8 years. I feel like I understand game development. I'm not a game developer.
I mean, Steven said the same thing, and we see what he thought. Like I say, it's always fascinating. One of the most fascinating things is to be on a dev team
Oh, you're
and
afraid now.
watch gamers join a development team, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, it should work like." Oh, okay, it doesn't work like that. Oh, okay, it doesn't work like that. Oh, okay, it doesn't work like that. That's one of the most fascinating things about watching gamers, especially, join a game development team, and it has nothing to do with being dumb. It's just
I dislike
game
that.
development.
I
I mean,
dislike
you can
that as a
dislike
fallback.
it. You can dislike it, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, well, I agree. There are large groups of people that probably don't, but the
You're
comment.
saying that you just said that you don't understand why it seems so disorganized, but that is the way game development works.
All right, that explains why people, yeah,
All right.
are closing and
They're
losing
saying in
jobs. Then
chat that on the 27th, the rogue's coming in. It's going to be Rogue again.
I wonder if they'll have dual weapons, because I think that's been an issue too, has it not, on PTR? Like getting that to work. Dual daggers,
Which
skill
the dual
trees.
daggers, that's a good question. I don't remember checking the skill tree last time because I decided to roll a cleric because I wanted to see what it's like trying to heal rogues. But instead, I found a bunch of bugs and just reported those instead.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll have the. I mean, I hope they would. I hope you don't put in the rogue and they're not able to dual wield daggers.
It's not that. Yeah, no. I think there was some issues because they intended just to be dual daggers, but you were able to equip other combinations, and then I didn't think it was the case, but then on one of the live streams, Stephen comes out and says, "Oh yeah, it's going to be all sorts of dual wielding combinations for weapons." It's like, okay, well, what's the driver for that? Is it the one in the main hand is the one? Is it both hands? Each one has their, like if I'm doing a sword and a dagger, is that going to be different? If I'm doing a sword and a hammer, is that going to be different? Like dagger and scepter, is that going to be different? Or is it the one in the main hand? And then if you're dual wielding, then it's, dagger dual wield or dagger one hand with like a focus or a shield sort of thing. That's
Yeah,
kind of what I'm wondering about. And
that's
then what are the
interesting.
trade-offs of dual wielding with other things too?
That's interesting too, because I would think it would be more like a tank and a shield, in that it's basically a class ability, right? Uh, Rather than the weapon. But we'll have to see.
Question, Krim, about whether all archetypes, of course, are different, but at times they all feel the same. Clerics using longbow to help DPS. You think about the fact that all archetypes can feel similar in that way. I think that's just a side effect of allowing them all to use the same weapon.
Yeah, I think that's great. I don't know that that has anything to do with
I'll be
archetype, but
honest with you though, Kremchek, there is something I would say to why a cleric would want to use a weapon with a built-in fire on the hit. So I think that's wands and maybe spell books as well on their finisher proc. You can choose the element that it does. And so since you're synergizing with radiant damage and fire damage from your different sources that you can put out there, the fact that you can put the fire on and get them burning just from your weapon is great, because now you can hit them with the one that moves it to conflagration, and then while they're conflagrated, if you hit them with castigation, instead of it being an incapacitate, it's going to stun them. And so that's just fantastic that I can just get one finisher combo off on an enemy and then immediately stun it in a 1-2 shot. That's badass. So I can understand why, like, the longbow is great if you want to stay as far away. For PvP, the longbow is preferred because it gives you the best range. You're able to hit things from as far out as possible. PvE, people generally would, I think, like the short bow, especially if you're soloing. You're going to bless weapon yourself. You're going to higher rate of fire, get the mana procs back quicker.
I've not found any reason to not use the short bow as a cleric. Like I can still do my whole series of
Yeah, short spell bows are great. Long spell bows are great. You can do everything you need to. I just personally like something that procs fire, so when I want to do all of my fire stacking stuff, I can just do it off my weapon. And I can do that while I'm healing. While I was in Forge healing an entire raid. We had like 2 clerics and a bard, two parties, and yeah, I was still able to do plenty with the wand, keep those fire procs going. Does extra damage. It helps. Everything's something.
I mean, but
Yeah.
I it's interesting. I mean, I don't want them to not let us use I don't want them to take that away. I think actually allowing us to oh, the hell is that about? Use all these different things is beneficial. Like I don't want that to change. I was talking with another viewer about how we play the cleric different, and he's like, you should try the two-handed sword, and kind of gave me his way of doing skills with the two-hander. And it was very interesting to how different it played. And I actually started playing that pretty regularly. So, I mean, I enjoy having the ability to use those weapons. But yeah, it can. And there was a comment there too. I'm the one who knocks mentioning that the fact that a tank uses a bow to pull always looks weird. I mean, yeah, there's just weird things like that. The same with your cleric sitting in the back shooting a short bow while they're tossing heals around. It's kind of weird.
That's
literally
the
how
awesome.
I imagine gameplay to go in Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder.
Exactly.
You're going to use your longbow because it's your longest. The weapon with the furthest short range is a longbow. So if you're using a ranged weapon, you want the one with the longest range. And then when they're close enough, you do your short range thing. You switch out. So, yeah. Makes sense. And then even if we're going to be talking about D&D, you're not even going to bother putting the shield on. You're just going to go out the two-hander because it's a full action to put a shield on. You're out there to kick ass. You're dropping that bow, you're grabbing your two-hander, and something's getting whacked.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's a comment I had made from Node Wars way back when. Chibi Bree was also a cleric. We spec'd each other. Our characters were completely different in how they were built, how they played, how they felt. And that's great. I actually love that fact. It might look weird, but it's fun. Equally, swinging a big ass two-handed sword around as a cleric, soloing, but it worked. You had life gain or health restore on it, so it was survivable. It looks kind of weird, but it's fun. It's fun to sort of have all of those different possibilities. And so far we only have a little bit. Like there should be, all sorts of stuff with enchanting and with tempering and with gems and sockets and secondaries and augments and all this stuff. I mean, it gets a little mind blowing to think about how differently each of us can play. That's assuming everything gets in though. Anyways. God, what time is it? Oh, it's already 9:30.
So we got something from Greenfinger sent to, I don't know which inbox. But it's the some leaks from Stephen from earlier today.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, Rogue releases on the 27th. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's I can't put it onto the chat because I would break the whole OBS thing if I tried to do anything through the screen. I mean, that's not surprising. I mean, I think they have to get something else out there. The Rogue makes sense. I am curious to see how fixed the dual wielding is, though. So.
Yeah, well, we'll probably see on Monday when they do the naval test.
Nice.
Yeah,
Are you going to be on for that? Or are you gonna PvP on the open sea?
They've been fucking doing their tests in the middle of the day. Like, I'm at work, man. I can't. They used to do tests later in the evening. Big ones like node sieges and stuff have been during the middle of the day. Look at the rest of it. I only saw the one.
Yeah, I only saw the one as well. And seems fascinating because that's a day before the live stream. Is the live stream on Friday?
28th.
Yeah.
That's kind of wild that we're gonna actually be playing it before we see it in the live stream.
That doesn't actually surprise me because they want people to test it out a little and maybe even record one of them.
Oh, there it is.
I don't think I've seen that. Well, that's the first time that's happened, right? I think.
No, I think they've had some other stuff that they've tested before they've shown.
Archetype wise.
Oh, he's putting a lot of stuff in there. Metropolis. Wait.
Where was that? How did you get there?
Hold on.
Where did you go, Phantom?
He's reviewing the stuff that Greenfinger sent.
Yeah.
Discord inbox. All right, thank you.
Why does it say 2016? Anyways, yeah, there's a Metropolis. It's all from right now, right? Metropolis node.
Oh yeah, old Metropolis node. Are these things that he
So confused. Why are the dates 12/10/2016? Yeah, I can't do it on my computer or it'll break everything. Learned that the hard way. Yeah, I'll take a look once we get done here. It says 2016, right? Like what's been sent.
Yeah, those all say 2016. Those definitely look like older things that I've seen before.
Well,
cool though.
All right, we are running out of time. I don't know what else, if anything, y'all have to talk about tonight.
I think I will say one thing is that I have been juicing my mining rarity and quantity and stuff. I've got my tools and clothes and everything all nice and set. So once this new system comes through, I'm definitely going to be hitting it and see just how much your quality actually matters with it, because that's one of the things that people have been kind of wondering about the whole time is what's hunting actually going to be like with rarity. What's all this new stuff going to be like with the rarity? Hunting has been the bastard. Hunting has been the one where trying to get things of high quality is just difficult, just really hard. It's unreasonably difficult, and it means all the things priced around it, like animal fat used in all the stone molds from slate up, are going to be ridiculously expensive because you can't get that material. I think fishing is the same way too, where you're not really going to find a lot of legendary fish because you're just sitting there and it just passively pulls them in. Maybe you'll get some good ones, maybe you don't. I think the highest I saw was rare. So that'll be nice. All the new systems starting to come in. We'll have a live stream to talk about next time.
Rogue.
Some naval battle conversations to have. And maybe in the live stream they're going to reveal a little bit more about what's going on with the new artisan stuff that's coming in, or if they're going to kind of wait and let us see it and then kind of explain it after we've had a chance to mess around.
I did take a peek. I don't see anything recent from Steven, so I don't know what you're sending us. But I was laughing because this was from 10 days ago. It said, let's keep the inappropriate drama to unofficial discords. This is from Steven. I have instructed the mods to take a heavier hand with Vira drama in our Discord. I get it. This type of drama was my jam. But we have people that don't give a fuck about guild diplomacy and personal beef between players. We want the official Discord to be a good onboarding for new testers and more tame game related topic.
Yeah, Steven's so funny to me. Don't play the way I used to play before I became a developer.
So long time ago, one of the SOE staff that came on early on, I saw them at a convention and I was like, hey, I thought you were working on Ashes. And they told me, yeah, well, about that, you see, I wanted to make a more friendly community where people are, more polite and professional with each other. And Steven didn't really seem to want that so much. So seeing that I wasn't going to be able to do my job the way I kind of, need to be able to do it, moved on. So I'm not going to say this is a bite you in the butt situation, but I feel like the level of toxicity and the level of how comfortable players have been with how toxic they can be towards one another has been left unchecked for far too long. And so now when it boils over to the point where what was happening is when the servers were down, everybody from the server would all pack into the Ashes voice channels, and it was just an absolute shit show. I posted one of those recordings. I don't think I posted the other one. And other things that were said and communicated in that channel that I didn't record was like absolutely just deplorable. Like how can you be worse than a bunch of like unruly school kids? Like this is it's just amazing to me. And so I can see where they wanted to actually do something about it, to actually take care of it and actually not have things just be open verbal assaults on other people all the time, conversations that aren't about anything but are just verbal whatever measuring contests and this and that and the other. People actually talking about the game and trying to organize. Like it's kind of hard to do that when you go into a public space and 50 other people show up and they're all barking like a bunch of dogs.
Yeah, gamers are gonna game, and that's why a lot of people who are focused on PvP, I find I don't even want to be on the same server that they play on.
I mean, they're usually chill when you're just playing with them and hanging out and doing things with the guild, but it's when it's a guild versus another guild and they're all like
I'm saying
trying to shout out who's number one and talk over each other.
All the
talk about each other's mothers and their nuts.
Trash talking. That. Yep. All the trash talking that I'm not into.
But that doesn't happen during gameplay. That's only when everybody's, on the same voice channel because nobody's, join polar. Yeah, because the servers are down and everybody's, bored and irritated. And that was literally the circumstances of it. If people weren't bored and irritated because the server was down, it wouldn't have ever happened.
I would love to see Diggs in Polar.
That would
I
be
think that
funny.
is a fucking great idea. How can we make that happen?
Let's see. I
Do you
might.
know how many people that would
try something.
flip to see you as the Diggs character running around with Polar and actively war decking people? That's like a win-win.
Polar would definitely get all the PvP they want. Hey everyone, Diggs is running a caravan. Doesn't matter what's on it. Come take it. Bring
That's funny.
mats. Bring all of your crafting materials. We will kill you and take them.
I want to. We got to figure this out. I will have to talk about it at some point. I want this to happen. Of all the guilds for you to end up, that would be the best. I cannot think of a better way to make for that to happen. Sorry, Genesis, but
no, I think for the comedy of it, joining Polar would be that would be quite interesting.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, we're 45 minutes, a little bit over here.
We end when we end.
15 minutes over. Yeah.
What do we got coming up? So we got the live stream. You say Friday. Thursday's the Rogue. Naval content hitting PTR. They are giving PTR access to more people. You might see if you have access. You never know.
Yeah, check your Intrepid email.
I've tried getting back into Saturday, Sundays. Hard, man. It's hard to get motivated to get up at 6 a.m. for something that I've been doing the same for months now. But
go outside and chop some trees.
how
sure
many
you got plenty of
times can
things
I
to
wake
do.
up at 6 a.m. and chop damn trees down? Like,
no, I don't mean in the game. I mean IRL.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you have some of those too?
That's endless stuff there. Yeah.
Maybe I just plan a vacation to go out there and cut some damn trees. I like cutting trees, apparently.
So, but yeah, we will keep moving on. So, it's been fun. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Listening to us chat rather than watching people actually play. And yeah, I don't know if y'all have anything else to say. I'm gonna find us someone to raid to.
Yeah. Till he does that. Thanks once again, everybody, for coming. I'm definitely excited. I think my next gameplay goal, when I next jump back in, is start consolidating all of my lobby mats and start making some under 10 rogue gear so my rogue can just be badass and I can +7 all of it for dirt cheap.
All right, I
Just
found
run around under 10 gear until I hit level 20.
I found Bad Dad Gaming. I do not know who this person is. I apologize ahead of time if
Guy sounds like a poor father.
This does not end up well. But has currently
Bad gaming. Huh?
Currently has 3 viewers. So we're gonna send a couple over. So all right, y'all. Been fun. Come hang out with us in Discord or whatever else, and we will see you next time. So
Later, buddy.
Soup.